thank you very much. It was to bring across the point that unless we ourselves are taking on the message, it's wrong to stand up and broadcast it. Thank you. I've done a carbon footprint on myself, and I was very surprised to find that I'm well below the average. So I've been a Green Party member for 10 years.
There you go. Thank you for that question. Who's next, please? Over there, please, Darren.
Hi, my name's Julie Futcher. I represent a company called SRE Technologies. We're the installers of wind turbines and solar panels. And I just want to aim a question or a comment really from Bruce. We work with the large-scale domestic market, and we also work with education and not-for-profit organisations. And when we're looking at installing our technology, we have a number of grant funding areas that we can go to help to support the projects. But one thing we seem to have a gap in the market is for the commercial marketplace. Doesn't seem to be any grant funding streams for commercial businesses to look at the implementation of renewable energy technologies. And I just wonder whether Bruce has got any insider information for us of anything that could be coming up or any comments he'd like to make on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I should have said at the beginning, I really represent investor engagement, and so the policy framework I've sort of given a broad overview. So some of the specifics I'm not sure of. So I'm not quite sure about what incentives there are for commercial renewable energy, but there's certainly, we've got a whole document on green tariffs that explains how a company can navigate the green tariff regime and understand how it is procuring green energy. And I think that's a very important place for companies to go. And when they're looking at their carbon footprint, they should be able to take into account the types of renewable energy that they're sourcing. But it's something I'll be very happy to look into and get back to you on.
Has anyone else in the audience got an answer to that question? There's Martin French here, I think, and probably Lewis from EMDA on grants and so forth. No? No?
Obviously, we do through Business Link is that Business Link deliver support schemes which work with businesses to improve their resource efficiency. But in terms of direct grants, it's something that we do through Business Link or other EMDA.
Right, okay, thank you for that, Lewis. Could you just, sorry, thank you.
Just a quick answer on that. I was at an event, and it's the same as a domestic residence. It's about 2,400 quid an individual business can apply for. Thank you.
Thank you for that information. Any more questions, please? Ian, down at the front.
Thank you. Ian Sterrett from Kirkdale Customer Advocates. We heard from the presentations before the coffee break that one of the key issues with bringing new technologies to market was some of the skill sets available for the people to commercialise. If I could ask some specifics against the two guys that really have first-hand experience in this field, do you see that as being a key skill shortage, or are there other key skill shortages that we should be worrying about as well?
In many respects, I'm actually quite fortunate, both in my current role and also the role I had with Mark McDonald. I get huge numbers of graduate CVs. I know certainly when I was with Mark McDonald, I'd get maybe 100 plus CVs, and I'd phone up the HR department and say, next time can you please do some kind of filtering? And they'd say, that is the filtering, that's the very best, and they all want to work in low carbon. So at that end of the market, we're seeing that we do get the choice of the very best engineers. And increasingly, we're seeing people coming back into the market. A few years ago, there was a huge problem with engineers who were being effectively seduced away from the energy industry or automotive or aerospace by opportunities in the management consultancies or the accountancy firms or venture capital and investment banking. And this was a huge issue. I know 10 years ago when I was sort of in my first management position, saw this as one of the main issues for us. And increasingly we're getting people coming back to us in their late 20s and early 30s. They're saying, I did an engineering degree, or I did electronics or physics, and I've spent some time in IT or computing or banking, and I now want to come back into engineering and I want to do something in low carbon, and that's fabulous. Finding expertise with people who've got 5 or even less, 2 or 3 years of experience in certain areas. Wind, tidal and wave is very difficult because there are very few people who've got more than a handful of years experience. So graduates, plenty of graduates coming in, and some super guys who are keen to work in low carbon, but I think with a bit more experience it's still a very, very tight market.
To that, I would just add 2 things. On the BBC website last week, there was an article about the Germans who are seeking to recruit engineers at the kindergarten level by giving them a series of tests. So it's a serious article because there's such a shortage of engineers in Germany that they have to go younger and younger and younger. I'm not quite sure how young they could go, but it's there. Go and read it. The second thing I would say is there's a recruitment consultant called Heidrick & Struggles, global recruitment consultancy, and in the clean tech sector, there are I think the lady there from memory, her name is Anita Hoffman. I mean, we've looked at using them recently. The reason the reason we've chose what she says in the articles on the site is that there is a dearth right across the clean tech sector, however it manifests itself, of management capacity, experience, and engineering experience, or whatever facility you need to employ. It's just not there. But that's not entirely inconsistent with, in particular, engineering itself in the UK. So I think you have to respect the fact that we're in an environment which is new, and people aren't necessarily mutating from traditional sectors yet, but they will do as we travel towards the mainstream. It's just going to take time, and it has to become sexy. I'm not quite sure whether it's sexy yet. So there we are.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Adam. Any more questions, please?
Hi, Lee Sherwood, Venture Capital. This is kind of a hypothetical question, really, just to kind of pick your brain and see where you go. If, for whatever reason, you were forced to remortgage under some kind of weird legislative arrangement, and you had $500,000 knocking about, where would you put it now?
That's an interesting question, Lee. Have you got $500,000 spare?
No.
My contract of employment makes it very hard for me to invest in the energy industries. At the same time as the work I'm doing makes it very clear to me there are significant opportunities. So I'm somewhat conflicted by the question, but I think an investment in the engineering and manufacturing capacity to produce energy systems would just have a huge return, including up through systems integrators. So, for example, there is only one forge company in the world that can make the pressure vessel ends for the European design nuclear reactor, and as far as we know, their order book is full out to 2019. They don't just make pressure vessels for nuclear reactors, they make lots of things. So an investment in the capacity to do that, where you have the skills to do the work, because it takes years to develop the skills to do that kind of work, I think would have a very good return. And the capital plant cost index for energy, published by Cambridge Energy Research Associates, is screaming skywards at the moment, with nuclear leading the field, followed by wind, followed by gas, with coal lagging behind. And I think there's a message there that the cost of equipment to deal with this problem is going to rise because the market simply can't supply it. So.